Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show. Thursday edition. We have a very busy show in store for you. In a little while, we're going to talk to the governor of the state of Texas, Rick Perry. We're going to talk to Dr. Terry Jones, who is once again threatening to burn Korans, this time 3,000 of them on September 11th. Victoria Townsend will be here to talk about what she believes the Benghazi affair is all about. And we'll also talk to Christina Hoff Sommers, the author of The War Against Boys. But joining us right now is the senator from the great state of Kentucky, Senator Rand Paul. Hello, Senator.
Good morning, or I guess afternoon. How's it going?
Right, I don't know where you are, but it's pretty much afternoon just turned all over the U.S. Yeah, thank you for coming on with us. And by the way, I had the pleasure of talking to your dad earlier in the week about his new TV channel. Real exciting stuff, huh?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, well, who knew your dad would become a TV star? All right, let's talk about a bunch of issues here, Senator, if we can. And I'm taken back to some remarks made by Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, just a couple of days ago. And I bring that up because of the Manning sentence yesterday and the news Manning broke today. He praised you and he praised your dad. Are you a fan of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
You know, I guess I'm more interested in the constitutional questions. You know, the Fourth Amendment. I am a fan of the Fourth Amendment. I'm a fan of the idea that third-party records should get Fourth Amendment protections, that your bank records, your phone records, your visa records, all of this deserve the protection of the Constitution. And I really think the court needs to revisit this question. So I've been joining together with the ACLU and others in fighting lawsuits that say that, yes, all of these records that you have that you let people hold should be protected by the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah, and we found out yesterday a lot of issues about NSA and three separate court rulings that the government violated the Constitution by what they did in going after emails of people who were not involved in terrorism, et cetera. And you have called for, I believe you did it on one of the Sunday shows, a Supreme Court review of the whole NSA program, correct?
Yeah, the thing is you can't really have a secret court that doesn't have an adversarial process. FISA court is secret, and there's nobody arguing the other side. So we have typically throughout our history, when we have constitutional questions, you have attorneys represent both sides, and they argue it, and there's actually someone who feels like the infringement of the law has hurt them. And so someone argues in favor of a client, and it sets up a situation where there's a valid argument. FISA court can't do that. And even the FISA court themselves have admitted that they have no ability really to police the NSA. So we can't rely on this court to do it. It needs to be done, and in a free society, it should be done out in the open. We should debate. And it's like, is it a big secret that we're trying to spy on terrorists? I'm not against that. But that's not a big secret. We really should be able to debate that in the open, how we do it and how much Americans get caught up in this.
Yeah, and here, you know what my problem is? We have a government right now that is willing to do all this in secret, as you put it, and I have nothing against going after terrorists either and keeping us safe. But on the other hand, they wouldn't stick a terrorist's head underwater even if they knew that, God forbid, he knew where the next bomb was going off and it could save American lives. So they want to treat terrorists as, you know, I don't even know what to call it, but they don't want to do anything to show that we're going against our Americanism and our beliefs by sticking a terrorist's head underwater or blowing smoke in his face, but they're willing to tell, to keep track of all of my phone records. There's something that doesn't seem right about that.
And I think we've got our eye off the prize. We've become distracted from how you actually will stop terrorists. For example, let's say the Russian government gives you a tip that this boy named Sanarev is a potential terrorist. You interview him. You don't have enough evidence. But for goodness sakes, wouldn't we put some effort into following his activities when he leaves the country? He's on a target list, but they're so overwhelmed with data that his name was spelled differently in the interpretation to the computer program. And so they missed the fact that he went to Chechnya. So I think we get overwhelmed in it because we want to have everybody's data all the time, real time. And the thing is 99.9% Americans or all of us really aren't. So that's why you have this idea of probable cause. You go to a judge. We all want to catch rapists and murderers too, but we still make the police call a judge before they go into a house.
We're talking to Senator Rand Paul here on the Steve Malzberg Show. So do you distinguish between Bradley Manning and what he did and what Edward Snowden did?
I think the bottom line is that we do have to have rules on protecting national secrets, really in both cases. There do have to be rules. And then people who protect the secrets or have access to the secrets, if they decide that they're going to commit civil disobedience, they have to sort of make that decision, and they make that decision going forward. I think the argument's not that it's right to leak material. The argument has to be, is there a greater purpose that they choose to fight against? In Snowden's case, the director of national intelligence came to the country through the Senate in a public hearing and lied and said they weren't collecting any data. That's an outright lie. It is against the law, and I haven't heard much talk of what should happen to him. But the thing is, he certainly shouldn't still be in charge of our intelligence if he's going to lie to Congress. Snowden comes out and releases something that shows basically explicitly that the national intelligence director was lying. What the ramifications of that are, basically it's against the law, and it probably has to be against the law, to reveal information. His was a little more selective. Manning's, was very indiscriminate, and by many news stories could well have endangered people and may have endangered people. So there is a difference, but they both really are leaks that we do have to have laws against leaks. But it has brought forward a question, though, that needs to be debated in our society, and that is the question of the American surveillance, whether or not we're going to allow a government to do surveillance of Americans without a warrant.
All right, I got a couple more for you, sir, and they involve foreign policy and your future. And why don't we try to mesh them together? How close are you to deciding, and how strongly are you considering running for president? And when might you be able to tell us something definitively?
I've been traveling some, a lot in Kentucky, but also around the United States, and talking about how we can grow the Republican Party to be big enough to be competitive nationally. Whether that winds up in me running for national office, we probably won't know for at least about a year. But in the meantime, we'll be giving the message, a trial run around the country, saying this is what we think. This is how we think the Republican Party could be bigger. This is how we can attract more youth vote. This is how we can attract more African American, Latino, Asian American, Jewish American, how we can become a party that looks more like and represents more of a broad section of America. And I think when we do that, and if we can demonstrate that may be something that Republicans will begin to say, hey, we need to embrace some of these libertarian conservatives because their ideas may broaden our base.
Now, I think your dad has said that if Chris Christie wins the nomination, he would not vote for him. Where do you stand? Of course, you've had the much publicized quote-unquote feud with Chris Christie. But if you don't run, or if you do run, and Chris Christie wins the nomination, could you see yourself, if that were to happen today, if today it was all over based on the way things stand today, could you support Chris Christie for the presidency?
I've always been a Republican, supported the Republican nominee, and don't plan on changing it anytime soon.
So that's a yes, I guess, right?
Well, yeah, take it exactly how I said it. I've always supported the Republican nominee and don't plan on doing otherwise.
Okay, now let's say you're the president today. Where do you weigh in, sir, on the aid to Egypt and the situation? Should we keep backing the Egyptian military? Should we keep the aid flowing? There have been reports that it's already been suspended pending further investigation. But if you were president today, what would you do regarding that issue?
There never should have been any debate. The law is explicit. If you have a military coup or a military takeover, the aid has to end. Unless you want a president who disobeys the law. This president is directly flouting the law, and he's in direct disobeyance of the law. So, no, there's no question. The aid has to end. You can debate whether aid's a good idea, and I think it's a bad idea, but the law you don't get to debate. You have to change the law if you don't like the law. So all these Republicans who stand up and beat their chest and say, oh, we're the party that's the rule of law, and we criticize, the Muslim Brotherhood for not obeying the rule of law. Well, it's a valid criticism only if you obey the rule of law. So I think the Muslim Brotherhood was something that was not a group that I would have sent arms to, and don't think they were headed in a way towards, Western-style constitutional republic. But at the same time, they were elected. And our law says when an elective government is toppled, there's no wiggle room. You have to end the aid.
Right, and the State Department spokeswoman, I got a kick out of it. It was like a Saturday Night Live episode, back and forth with a reporter, where she said they determined that they don't need to make a determination on whether or not it was a coup. It was like Saturday Night Live. It was insane.
Well, it's more like third grade, playground. You're out of third grade and people say, well, yeah, it's a coup, but you can't make me. You can't make me say it's a coup. So it's a bunch of third graders on the playground saying you can't make me. And it was ridiculous. I read that entire exchange and was bursting out laughing, thinking, how can anybody with a straight face? The only thing worse than that was John Kerry then saying, well, the generals are restoring democracy. Meanwhile, there's an image on the internet of a guy holding his hands up like they did in Tiananmen Square, no weapon, saying halt to these tanks. And in the next frame, he's shot.
Yeah.
So that's restoring, according to John Kerry, that's how we restore democracy.
Oh, please.
Meanwhile, those are American tanks. Those are American tanks. So the Egyptians, you think they get a warm, fuzzy feeling for us when they see American tanks being used to quell dissent?
One more on the foreign front, and that's Syria. John McCain just moments ago, which I'm not surprised, saying we need to take military action. He's convinced that Assad used the chemical weapons. I don't know how he would know that. We need to, it'd be very easy to take out the Syrian air bases. We need to be proactive. What's your take on the use of the chemical weapons? We don't know by who, and what should we do?
I think Americans want their leadership to have a healthy reluctance for war and not an eagerness for war. And when I talk to people, including the GIs from bases in Kentucky who fight in the war, they're not eager for a new war. And it's a messy war. The Christians are on the other side of the war. So if we send arms to the Islamic rebels, these arms could well be used to kill Christians. Al-Qaeda is actually on the side of the war that we would be supporting. Senator McCain had a little trouble when he went over there having his picture taken apparently with kidnappers. So really the question of vetting out who's friend and foe, even the general who's in charge of the Joint Chief of Staff, Dempsey, said that it's increasingly hard, if not impossible,
to tell them
determine
apart.
who his friend is foe.
Yeah.
And we can't even tell in Afghanistan. They join the army in Afghanistan, our alleged allies, and then they shoot us in the back. So I think that it's a big mistake to get involved in Syria, and I think the American people are wise to take with a grain of salt and look with a skeptical eye at politicians who are eager for war.
Couldn't agree more. One final one. You've been very generous with your time. My buddy Steve Lonigan, of course, won the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate seat in New Jersey. Of course, he could have been appointed by Chris Christie through next year if Chris Christie had any guts, in my view. But I read somewhere that you've talked to Steve and that you're considering supporting and maybe coming to my home state of New Jersey here and campaigning for him. Any truth to that?
Well, Steve Lonigan's a great candidate, and I think he's the kind of candidate really that we need to grow the Republican Party. He'd be a perfect fit for New Jersey. I think he has a healthy reluctance and circumspection about war. He believes, as I do, that war should be declared by Congress, not by a president. He seems to have made some comments about American surveillance that showed that he's concerned about the Constitution and our right to privacy. And he's fiscally very conservative, all of the things that we need in the U.S. Senate. So, I'm happy to endorse Steve Lonigan, and we'll look and see what more we can do for him.
Great. And let me, speaking as a private citizen who now has the ear of Rand Paul, do whatever you can to stop Obamacare from going through, because there are a lot of scared people. I talk to them every day. Patients, doctors, elderly, they're scared out of their wits, and they're looking to people like you, the few Republicans who are willing to stand up and say, we've got to stop this.
We will do. I got to run. I got another
All right,
program,
Senator. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Senator Rand Paul, ladies and gentlemen, right here. We covered a lot of ground. Good for Steve Lonigan getting the endorsement of Rand Paul. We'll talk about it. 855-777-9660. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, the governor of the state of Texas, Rick Perry. Right here. All of it right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide. At bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Judging from everything you hear, you think all cholesterol is bad, but that's not really true. You need a certain amount of cholesterol to maintain good health. The problem is that too much cholesterol in your blood contributes to a plaque, a fatty substance that narrows the coronary arteries that feed blood flow to your heart. Picture your coronary arteries as a 4-lane highway. If one lane becomes blocked, traffic still flows well. 2 lanes, no major problem. But if a 3rd lane becomes blocked, that spells trouble. It's the same way with your coronary arteries. And when plaque slows their blood flow to your heart, this can even cause a heart attack. The good news is that when it comes to cholesterol, lifestyle changes can pay off big time. Even a small reduction in plaque can be like opening up another highway lane. Suddenly, blood flow that was stalled can go forward again. Changing your lifestyle does not have to be hard. And in fact, here are 3 ways to help you start lowering your cholesterol. Snack on nuts. Nuts are probably one of the easiest and tastiest ways to lower cholesterol. Walnuts and almonds are among the best. Bulk up your diet with fiber. Choose whole fruits instead of a fruit juice, brown rice instead of white, and if you're eating a baked potato, be sure to leave the skin on. Choose fish. Fish contains cholesterol-fighting omega-3 fatty acids. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Hi, folks. We are back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. As promised, we said we'd be back, and we are back. We are a show of our word, if nothing else. Governor Rick Perry joins us in a couple of minutes. I didn't have time. We didn't have time. The senator did have to go. I kept him longer than we were supposed to keep him. But there's a story, one in particular, about Obamacare, done by Money News. .com, and I just want to tell you what it says here. Adverse effects from Obamacare will fall disproportionately on Americans with serious illnesses, especially those with cancer. And what's more, many physicians will be unwilling to serve Medicaid patients despite the law. This according to Forbes in a double broadside against the new health law. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, will curb the ability of patients to use specialty doctors who offer the most advanced cancer treatments, according to Forbes columnist Dr. Scott Gottlieb, who's a practicing physician and a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. The only thing that the health plans are permitted to do under Obamacare is narrow the networks of providers that they contract with. So that's precisely what they're doing, he said. By contracting with fewer providers, insurers can cheapen their coverage by clamping down on what doctors prescribe. This will hit cancer patients especially hard. And if patients go outside of their networks under Obamacare, they're likely to be zapped with expensive co-insurance coverage, co-insurance payments, according to Gottlieb. They could be stuck with the entire bill. Obamacare aims at cancer drugs directly by expanding a federal program that takes away money from drug developers in order to subsidize hospitals, a group favored by the Obama administration. Under the program, hospitals can buy cancer medicines from drug companies at a forced discount of up to 50%. Folks, it's a disaster. It is a disaster. I cannot be overly dramatic on this. There's no way to be overly dramatic on this. And that's why Republicans have to talk to the people and say, we will defund it. And if Obama shuts down the government over it, it's his choice. But we will not allow this to take effect. Won't happen. You look, that would take a party with guts, with leadership, with the ability to communicate. And that is not this Republican Party. Will not happen. All right, when we come back, Governor Perry of Texas on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited-time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it, or you have it and you think it's too expensive. And you probably feel like you don't have any options. We can help. We are InSphere Insurance Solutions. We offer health insurance plans from major carriers nationwide and likely have a plan that can save you money. Whether you're self-employed, on a COBRA plan that's about to expire, or you simply don't have health insurance where you work and you need it, InSphere Insurance Solutions can help you. Our agents will help you find coverage you can afford. InSphere Insurance Solutions is an authorized agency in all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Plans may not be available in all states. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325. 800-980-9325.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And as promised, we are joined by the governor of the great state of Texas, Governor Rick Perry. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve. Howdy. Good to hear you again.
Yeah, good to talk to you. You and I sat together in a studio in New York City when you had your great book on the Boy Scouts. And, boy, I thought of you all along the way as those votes were being taken and all the controversy and where the Scouts were headed. And I said, boy, we need to get Governor Rick Perry's input into this. So great to talk to you again.
Well, it is. Good to be on your program.
Well, I appreciate it. Okay, so you're going around the country, and you're pitching the state of Texas. You know, it's funny, I was just listening to a soundbite from the other day during the presidential campaign when MSNBC misrepresented what Mitt Romney was saying about a Wawa, and he brought up that Arnold Schwarzenegger put signs in his state when he was governor of Massachusetts saying, "Come to California, you business owners. We're a great state. We're business friendly." I don't know what he was talking about. And so now you're taking it on the road. You're going around the country, and you're asking people to bring their business to Texas, correct?
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you either believe in competition or you don't. We're traveling into Missouri this weekend to talk about the differences in business climate, if you will, between Texas and Missouri. They also have an effort to override their governor's veto. He vetoed a tax cut. And, Steve, I think most small businessmen and women understand that, taxes, regulations, legal environment, and accountable schools, so you have a skilled workforce. Those are the four foundations, if you will, of a strong economy. To not overtax is one of the most important ones that's on that list of people deciding whether or not they're going to expand or they're going to stay in a state, for that matter. They could relocate and have their business somewhere else. So that's kind of that's the theme, if you will, of our travels over the course of the last few years, and we've elevated it, going into California, into Illinois, into Connecticut, and New York over the course of the last 6 months, and now into Missouri. And I argue that if you believe in competition, then going into a state and trying to recruit their business to your state is good for America. It's good for the fabric of this country. Now, there are some folks in Missouri, they're probably not excited about me showing up and talking about their tax structure, or their governor's probably not happy that I want to come into the state and draw attention to the fact that he believes in higher tax.
Well, he just vetoed a bill that would have cut cut taxes on individuals and businesses.
There you go. So the question for me is, do you believe in competition or do you not? And I made this point earlier in the day on another interview. I said, I bet Gary Pinkel who's the head coach of the University of Missouri Tigers, that if he was told, hey, listen, you can't come into the state of Kansas and recruit any football players, he would be rather offended.
Yeah.
I think the people of Missouri would be offended. Now, folks in Kansas may not like it that Gary comes over and offers some of their very good athletes the opportunity to succeed in life. But it's anecdotal, but that's exactly what we're talking about here. Listen, if a governor of Connecticut felt comfortable that they have a better business climate, a better business environment, they're going to come to Texas and recruit those businesses. My deal is, have at it, boys. Let's see who has the best business climate here. Let's do it in a civil way. Let's do it in a thoughtful way. But competition is good. Is it uncomfortable? Yeah. I mean, I'd like to be there are governors out there that probably go, I just want to have all the jobs and do whatever I want to do, and please don't come in and try to make an uncomfortable environment for me. Well, you'll never be better if you do not have competition that pushes you. Listen, one of the reasons that we passed loser pay, we passed the most sweeping tort reform in the nation in 2003, and it's paid great dividends. We've got doctors and access to medicine that's better. The doctors pay substantially less in their liability insurance costs today than they did 10 years ago. We've got doctors that want to practice medicine in the state of Texas that relocate out of other states to come practice medicine in the state of Texas. That makes sense. But my friend over in Louisiana, Bobby Jindal, Mary Fallon up in Oklahoma, Susanna Martinez over in New Mexico, they put policies into their place or into their state that make their states more competitive. So in 2011, we had to come back as a legislature and go, you know what? These other states are starting to creep up on us from an economic environment standpoint. Let's pass loser pay to make Texas even more competitive when it comes to businesses so that they won't be frivolously sued. We did that. It made our state even more competitive. But is it uncomfortable to have to go back into the legislature and to pass these things and to promote them? Yes, in some cases. But the fact is, the men and women of this state, whether they own a business or whether they're hired by those businesses, have a better life for their family.
Absolutely. And Governor, not to interrupt, we're talking to Governor Rick Perry of the state of Texas here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You're doing this phenomenal job for your state and the promotion of your state in a country where, according to a new report that's out, 5 million workers are classified as long-term unemployed. 900,000 more have stopped looking for work altogether recently. This according to a left-wing group called the Urban Institute. You're not running for governor again. You haven't made any announcement regarding the presidency. Would you be, so let me ask it this way, would the economic policies that you've put in place in the state of Texas be able to be taken to the federal level, to the national level, with a person like you sitting in the White House?
Well, I'm a big believer that states need to make their decisions about their tax policy, their regulatory policies, their legal policy at the state level, and those states will compete against each other. Can the United States be more competitive? My gracious, yes, of course. I mean, for instance, we want to tax offshore money that's already been taxed once. I'd say bring it back in here at either a very small tax rate or for a period of time not even have a tax on that, as long as those dollars were going to create jobs and to create invested back in the U.S. economy. It would be a boon to the American economy. When you look at the oil and gas industry, and put policies into place, for instance, the XL pipeline. Let's get it built. We know we need that energy. We know we need to be more independent of these foreign sources of oil when it comes from the Middle East and places that are in turmoil. If there's a foreign source of oil that we ought to be working with, be the Canadians and the Mexicans, along with the United States domestic policy. So those are policies, regulatory climate, and tax policies at the federal level that can make a huge difference. And again, this is all about Americans having a better opportunity to take care of their families. Do you want government to kind of set the bar for you and say, this is as high up in the economic strata as you can ever be because government's going to decide all this? Or would you rather have the freedom to go have a job, to take care of your family, to keep more of that money, and you decide how that money gets spent, whether it's on a personal vacation or whether it's your kid's education or whether it's given to a charitable organization or the cultural arts.
Absolutely.
That is the position that we take in Texas, is that if the private citizens have policies that allow them to keep more of what they work for, they'll make the better decisions than government will.
Governor, where are you in deciding whether or not to run for president in 2016?
Steve, it's obviously still a very viable option out there. Over the course of the next year, I would suggest to you, we'll make a decision about what our future plans will be post-governorship of Texas.
What do you think of Ted Cruz? What's your opinion on Ted Cruz?
Very capable, one of the great debaters of our time, I would suggest to you. Very committed, conservative, and does a good job of representing the Texas way of doing business, if you will, which is to free people from over-regulation and over-taxation, and he's fighting a good fight.
What would the debate be like between Governor Rick Perry and Senator Cruz?
Well, I got to think that Ted is a very well-trained. I mean, the guy has won national debate competitions, so I'd be more than happy to have some great debates with him about the future of America and economic policies and foreign policy and all the different things that are important to this country. And, we may do that someday. But the fact is we're partners right now working on trying to not only get America back on track, but to promote, in his case, his home state, which is Texas, as I do on a regular basis as well.
Fair enough. Governor, great to talk to you, sir. I hope you'll come back soon.
We will, Steve. Godspeed, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. You stay well. Okay, that's Governor Rick Perry, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. That would be something if you wound up having Governor Rick Perry and Senator Ted Cruz, both, of course, from Texas, on that stage together. The stage that will not be shown on MSNBC or CNN, apparently. No, not MSNBC. Yeah, MSNBC, NBC, CNN, but that's the Hillary movie reference. But that would be something. That would be very, very interesting. And I wonder if they will both be up there running for president in 2016. Okay, we're coming back. You want to weigh in on anything that, the president spent 2 hours, well, it seemed like 2 hours today. CNN broadcast almost the whole speech. I don't know where he was exactly, but he was talking about college tuition and how they're going to change the ratings of college. And he actually said something to the effect that people shouldn't make a profit over giving student loans. So what does that mean? No interest on student loans? And who's going to do that? We are? And how do we know it's going to be paid back? Should there be no penalties for not paying back either? You want to weigh in on the economic issues of the day or what you just heard Governor Rick Perry say? I'd love to talk to you about it at 855-777-9660, 855-777-9660. Should he run for president again? And between him and Ted Cruz, who do you prefer? On the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor, Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I was going to talk about the murder of Chris Lane. I will talk about the murder of Chris Lane at the top of the next hour. Also in the next hour, we're going to have Dr. Terry Jones, who is going to burn 3,000 Korans on 9/11. We'll also talk to Victoria Townsend. She is the attorney, of course, the founding partner of DeGeneva and Townsend. Her husband is the one who said that Benghazi was all about these surface-to-air missiles, and she says that she thinks there's a cover-up involving Benghazi, and she'll tell us why. Also, but here's what I want to talk about right now. We're going to get to... When I look at the murder of Chris Lane and I see the racism involved and the sickness involved, and I look at Bradley Manning, who I told you yesterday there'd be this a man trapped in a woman's body issue. Now he doesn't want to be Bradley Manning anymore. Now he insists that he be called Chelsea Manning. That took less than 24 hours. So here's a story that might perk you up a little bit or give you, some restoration of faith in human nature. How often does this happen? And has anything like this ever happened to you, or has, in fact, the opposite happened to you? So I parked my car where I always park my car, and I get to my car the other day, and there's a note on the windshield. And the note on the windshield, I said, oh, gosh, what is this going to be about? And I started reading it, and it looked, I thought it said something like, I stupid, and I'm thinking, oh, what did I do to somebody? I don't even know them. It said, I swiped your car by accident. Not stupid, it said swiped. I swiped your car by accident. I took pictures of the damage. Here's my phone number. I want to pay for it. Now, how bizarre is that? And yeah, there was damage. There was absolutely damage. Thank God the car was drivable, because it's my lifeblood here, into the city and back and all over the place. But nonetheless, he was legit. So I called the number, and I got his machine, and I said, before I go any further, I said, my name is Steve, and I said, I'm the guy whose car you hit, and I just want to tell you how amazed I am, how astounded I am, how surprised I am to have gotten your note. You could have just pulled right out. Now, a skeptic might say, well, this guy knew there were cameras. This guy knew that one way or another he would be found out. Nobody gets away with this kind of stuff anymore. But having said that, I don't think that entered into his mind. So he calls me back, and he told me that he had well, I don't want to get into details, but he had a rent-a-car, and it was more like a van, and he pulled in behind me temporarily, wasn't allowed to park there, and then as he was pulling out, he kind of tore off, not the bumper, but like the side panel a little. You could see like where it has to snap back in, but I don't think it can. So there's going to be, work done. So he put me in touch with the rental company, and they're going through their insurance, whatever. But the whole point is, gave me his name, gave me his phone number, says he has pictures, left a note on my windshield. Now, thank God it wasn't a windy, rainy day, because I would have been out of luck, as they say. But I was taken aback, and I don't know, I'd like to think I would have done the same thing. I'd like to think I would have done the same thing. Now, let me tell you another story. And now you tell me what this means, okay? I pulled in the next day to the same exact spot. The same exact spot. And I'm getting out of the car. I open the door, and a woman on a bike crashes into my door as I open the door. Now, thank God she wasn't hurt. I think I looked. I got to tell you, she was going very fast. Thank God when she fell like there was a bus waiting, to move in the traffic. So she kind of like, it cushioned her fall. She didn't really fall. She fell to the side and land, and on the bike and a little off the bike, but it was kind of cushioned by the bus. So, make a long story short, she wasn't hurt. I didn't know what she was going to say or do. I didn't know how hurt she was. She got up. She said, let me give you some advice. Next time you open that door in the city, you look before you open the door. And she rode away. But I'm like thinking, my gosh, why am I jinxed with this spot? What's going on here, So the next day after that, when I got back, or later that day, when I got back to the car, I was holding my breath. I didn't know what to expect. So that's a little freaky. That 2 days in a row like that, there'd be those, issues. And I got to tell you, I'll tell you another thing. The week or two prior to that, a woman was parked in that row of cars. It's a special parking area. She wasn't allowed to be there. So I got out of my car and I said to her, I'm sorry. I said, but if you're just sitting and waiting for somebody, you could sit and wait across the street, even in front of the hydrant, as long as you're in the car. I said, but I need to park here if it's okay. So I was polite. She said, okay. She pulls out. I pull in. As she's pulling out and getting ready to get into the flow of traffic, a truck comes by her on the left and rips off her mirror. So that was the event number one. Event number two was the note on the car. Event number three was the girl on the bike. But it's all the same spot involved. I don't know. Does that mean maybe I shouldn't be parking there? So I didn't park there today. But I will. I have parked there since. Very freaky. Very freaky. But imagine the integrity involved in leaving the note, writing the note, putting it on my windshield. I thought that was, I thought that was very, very honest, very, very refreshing. How often do you hear of stories like that? And how often do I come on the air and tell you something that is uplifting, that gives you hope, that lifts your spirits, that restores some faith in humanity, that restores some faith in who we are, that there's honesty and integrity and decent people out there? I mean, we know all that. But we're so overrun with the news of the day. And, man bites dog leads. Dog bites man doesn't. So maybe we've come, we accept that there's good out there. So when it's a story, we don't usually have that to present to you because it's, the good, it goes unreported, unnoticed. But I noticed this good because it was so rare and in my view, so remarkable. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know if, God forbid, there's another incident in that parking spot because I'm a little freaked out by it. I have to admit that to you. 855-777-9660. We could continue this on the other side, but on the other side, I am going to talk about the murder of Chris Lane. And I'm going to do that right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-625-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows. Pause and rewind live TV. Even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV. Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more. 1-855-625-MY-TV. 1-855-625-MY-TV.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The U.S. and other Western nations are now demanding UN inspectors be allowed to visit the site of an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria. Opposition leaders claim the Syrian government used toxic gas on its own citizens. There are now varying accounts of how many people died in the attack, ranging from more than 100 all the way up to nearly 1,000. The Syrian government has strongly denied these claims. In New York, the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting last night. The council says it wants answers as to how so many people were killed.
This represents, no matter what the conclusions are, a serious escalation with grave humanitarian consequences and human consequences.
Meanwhile, President Obama is focusing on domestic issues like college affordability and his middle-class economic plan as he kicked off a two-day bus tour through New York and Pennsylvania today. And in Egypt, former President Hosni Mubarak was released from prison today. He was deposed in 2011 during the rise of the Arab Spring. Mubarak was transferred to a Cairo hospital and is expected to stay under house arrest. And the National Security Agency has picked up more American emails than previously disclosed. The NSA declassified 3 court rulings, which showed the spy agency read as many as 56,000 emails from Americans not connected to foreign terrorists. The NSA says it inadvertently gathered that internet traffic. The FISA court ruled it unconstitutional and ordered the agency to find ways to limit what it collects and how long it keeps that information. And a school employee is being called a hero for helping to talk an armed gunman into surrendering outside of Atlanta. During a standoff with police, which forced the evacuation of 800 students, Michael Hill, who was armed with an AK-47, held bookkeeper Antoinette Tuff hostage. Tuff had already called police and stayed on the line with 911 dispatchers as Hill entered the front office. Listen here as the bookkeeper convinced the armed gunman to put down his weapon and turn himself in.
Well, don't feel bad, baby. My husband just left me after 33 years. I mean, I'm sitting here with you and talking to you about it. I got a son that's multiple disabled. It's going to be all right, sweet. I just want you to know that I love you, though, okay? And I'm proud of you. That's a good thing that you just given up, and don't worry about it. We all go through something in life.
Pretty amazing stuff there. The gunman's brother said he is bipolar and schizophrenic. Michael Hill is still being held by police. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, we've been telling you about those raging wildfires out west. Now a new fire is threatening homes and buildings near one of our nation's most majestic national parks. An update on the Rim Fire. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve Stockman. What should the White House do to respond to those allegations by Syrian rebels that government forces are using chemical weapons? That's next.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Welcome back. More than 19,000 firefighters are battling flames in 10 western states this morning. One of the out-of-control wildfires in California, the Rim Fire, threatens thousands of buildings. It's also blocking a major road into Yosemite National Park. The firefighters battling the Rim Fire must do so from the perimeter now because the situation is so dangerous. So far, there have been 2 homes destroyed. Many cabins and campgrounds have also been evacuated. And with the president trying to focus on domestic issues, we talk with Congressman Steve Stockman of Texas, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, about Syria and what the White House should do in response to allegations of chemical weapon use by the Assad regime.
I think we should probably eliminate some of their planes, keep them from use in weapons of mass destruction.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 22nd. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back. Steve Malzberg, hour number 2 of the big show, coming up in just a few minutes. Dr. Terry Jones, founder and president of Stand Up America, he's going to be burning some Korans on the anniversary of September 11th. He's planning on burning about 3,000 of them, and people are up in arms, of course. We'll talk to him about that. Victoria Townsend will be here, and she has her theory, as she is a attorney, of course, and represented one of the quote-unquote whistleblowers in the Benghazi testimony before Congress. She has her theory as to why what she calls cover-up, and I agree, cover-up is all about with regards to Benghazi. We'll also take your phone calls, but I want to get to this right now, and this is the horrific murder of Chris Lane, 22 years old, in Oklahoma, the baseball player from Australia. As you know, 2 black teenagers, a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old, and a white getaway driver who was 17 years old. This baseball player was jogging past them. They spotted him. They got in their car and followed him and shot him in the back. Okay? And I said yesterday while reporting this that, you know, the driver looked white to me. The other 2 kids are black. This is a white jogger who was hunted down and shot in the back. Profiled, hunted down, and shot in the back. But I didn't know enough about it to say that it was definitely racially motivated, although it was 2 black teenagers, 15 and 16, who shot a white man. Well, now we know a heck of a lot more. A heck of a lot more. And basically silence throughout the media. Silence from Al Sharpton, semi-silence from Jesse Jackson, and silence from the man who was race-baited before from the White House, Barack Obama. Now, let me say, him saying that if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin is as stupid as me saying if I had a 22-year-old son, he would look like Chris Lane. Why would a 22-year-old man look like me just because he's white? So why would Obama's son look like Trayvon just because he's black? That's how stupid it was for him to say that, and ridiculous it was for him to say that. So if I had a 22-year-old son, he'd probably look nothing like Chris Lane. But it's worth talking about nonetheless. And here's what we now know. The Daily Caller reported that tweets from James Francis Edwards, the 15-year-old punk who allegedly shot this 22-year-old man, one tweet from his account read, 90% of white people are nasty. Hashtag hate them. Sounds friendly to me. 90% of white people are nasty. Hashtag hate them. Nah, he loves whites, right? He loves the 10% that are not nasty, I guess. Now, how's this one? Another post read, I knocked, Knocced. I knocked out 5 woods since Zimmerman Court. So I said, what the heck are 5 woods? Well, it turns out in the South, a term for whites used by some blacks, started a long time ago, was woodpecker. But they changed it. They inversed it to peckerwood. The story goes that blacks envisioned themselves as being represented by the blackbird, and whites with the red hair and by a woodpecker. But to make it not so obvious, they turned it around to Peckerwood. And now it's been shortened to Wood. So when this little punk says, i.e., I knocked out 5 Woods since Zimmerman Court, he means he knocked out 5 white people. Now, I don't know what knocked out means. Obviously, he didn't kill them. I don't think he killed them. I don't think there's 5 unsolved murders of white people in that area of Oklahoma. So he probably beat them up or something. And there were reports that there are more tweets to this effect, knocking white people. Now, let's reverse this, shall we? Let's reverse this and say 2 white teenagers profile, and for the fun of it, shoot a black man in the back after they follow him in their car. The driver is white, but the 2 teenagers are, the driver's black, but the 2 teenagers are white. And then they find out that they've tweeted out 90% of white people are nasty. Hashtag hate them. What do you think we'd be talking about and hearing about all over the cable stations right now? What do you think Barack Obama might say? If I had another son, he would look like X, the name of the black man, the fictional black man we're talking about who was gunned down by the fictional white teens. Don't you believe that? Don't you believe Al Sharpton would be, wherever it was, let's say Oklahoma, that he would be in Oklahoma? Media saying nothing about this. Nothing. And you know, there was a great piece by John McWhorter, who's African American. It ran at ideas.time. Oh, Time, I believe it was Time. Yeah, Time magazine, and he talks about crimes, that should not be ignored, and where race should be talked about. Young black men murder 14 times more than young white men, is what he wrote, among other things. And he gave some examples here. Trayvon Martin. He talks about a recent example that illustrates how many blacks. I'm just trying to find the other examples he gave, and for some reason I just can't find out what he said. Oh yeah, in Kansas City. Here we go. Hardly uncommon are cases such as the 2 black guys who doused a white 13-year-old with gasoline and lit him on fire, saying, "You get what you deserve, white boy." Kansas City, Missouri. Or 20 black kids who beat up white Matthew Owens on his porch, quote unquote, for Trayvon in Mobile, Alabama. What's that? You haven't heard about these stories? I don't know why. I'll tell you why. Because to the media, to Al Sharpton, and to the President of the United States of America, it is not a story. It is not worth mentioning when the victim is white and the perpetrator is black, even if those black perpetrators have gone on record as being bigots and racists. Because if it were, we would have heard from the president. We would have heard from Al Sharpton. And you would have heard about these tweets from 15-year-old James Francis Edwards, one of the killers of 22-year-old white Chris Lane in Oklahoma. But you haven't, have you? You haven't. And don't hold your breath. All right. And by the way, Kirsten Powers on Fox News last night with O'Reilly. It's guns. It's a culture of guns that's to blame. And O'Reilly and the other guests are saying, no, it's not a culture of guns. It's a culture of violence. It's a culture of rap and rap violence and kids without parents, without fathers. It's a breakdown of the family. And she gives this dumb look and says, I don't even know what that means. Now, Kirsten Powers usually has a lot of common sense, even as a liberal. But she shrugged at least twice and said, I don't even know what that means. Wasn't hard to understand, Kirsten. So I don't know what you don't know, how you don't know what that means. It was very well spoken to you and very obvious. Culture of guns. The gun went off by itself, like O'Reilly said, and shot this white man in the back. All right, we're coming back, and we're going to talk to, by the way, I'd love to hear from you. We have plenty of time for calls in this hour. 855-777-9660. 855-777-9660. I would love to hear from you, but we're coming back with Dr. Terry Jones on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of Lignet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard Lignet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is Lignet? Lignet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. Lignet's staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also joined our advisory board staff. Every day, our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, Lignet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, Lignet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on Lignet's assessments. Lignet members receive unrestricted access to Lignet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. Lignet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what Lignet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable Lignet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join Lignet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
Breaking news and breaking hearts. Aww. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, folks. Steve Malzberg Show, as you well know, on Newsmax TV and on radio stations all across the country and on every app in the lots of apps all over the world. Newsmax TV is a great app, by the way. If you have an iPhone, download that, and you will see a wonderful, wonderful TV version of the Steve Malzberg Show on the Newsmax TV app. Okay, on November 11th, September 11th. Okay, where am I? Yet another anniversary of 9/11. And joining us now is a man who is going to celebrate in his own unique way by burning not one Koran, but 2,998 Korans in Malzberg, Florida, as an expression of honoring every victim of 9/11. Joining us now is Dr. Terry Jones, founder and president of Stand Up America. Hey, Doctor, how are you? Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
It's been a while. Okay, so tell everyone what you're going to be doing and why and where and on September 11th.
Yeah, September the 11th there, we will be burning 2,998 Korans. In honor of the people who were killed and massacred at that time. Yeah, and in remembrance, and also in protest of what Islam does around the world. We will continue to protest, raise an awareness. We will continue to burn Korans as long as they continue to burn churches, kill Christians, violate human rights like no other ideology or religion. So we will continue to do that. With the prayer and the hope that people and our government will wake up and we will stop supporting people who hate us.
What do you think now? Last time you planned to do something similar, I don't think you were going to burn all those Korans, but I know the FBI visited your church. I know that the president and everyone on down spoke out about it and said that you would have blood on your hands because there had been a prior reaction, of course, where the burning of the Quran led to all kinds of violence in parts of the Muslim world. So what have you heard so far from our government, if anything, and what do you expect you might hear as we get closer to 9/11 from our government?
Yeah, as you said, I have in the past heard from many officials, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, several generals. This time I have been in contact again, or they have been in contact with me, the FBI. They have spoken with me, and I have met with them several times. Just last weekend I met with the local authorities down there in that area. And I think as it gets closer, it will be very active. We haven't had anyone at this time. In fact, I met with the FBI, and they made it very clear to me that their job was not to try to talk me out of it, but was to protect my First Amendment rights. The people, of course, down in Malzberg and in that area, the authorities, they, of course, do not want me to do it. But I think probably, like has happened many times, of course, the closer we get to the event, the more government officials we will hear from. I mean, there's no doubt that local officials down there and other people are putting pressure on the man who has volunteered his property. He works for Walmart, and I don't know if Walmart has done this directly or indirectly, but he with his of his employment there.
You broke up a little, Terry. You said that the man who volunteered his property for you to use in Malzberg, Florida, has been threatened with his job by Walmart?
I'm not sure if Walmart indirectly threatened him, but he called me yesterday. They're very concerned that he would lose if he exercised his First Amendment rights. In other words, allowing us to do our protest on his property. According to him, he has been threatened to be arrested if he does it.
Have you been threatened to be arrested? But you said the local authorities don't want you to do it. Have you been threatened with arrest by them?
I have not been threatened. No, I have not been threatened with arrest. I believe that they know that will not do any good. It doesn't really matter to me if they arrest me or
All right, now let me ask you about the FBI, because we only have a couple more minutes. I want to get this all in. You say they contacted you to assure that your freedom of speech and First Amendment rights are protected. In other words, why? Why would they need to call you if that's what they were calling you about?
Yeah, I mean, I have continual contact with the FBI anyway on a regular basis because of new death threats that come in. So,
are they going to send people out there to protect you while you're burning the Korans?
They're definitely going to send people out there, yes, to make sure that we are allowed to exercise our First Amendment rights. Yeah, they guaranteed me that.
Wow. Okay, that's very, very interesting. Now, an answer to the people who say that you will have blood on your hands, and you've heard this before, if there is violence either in the United States or abroad in reaction to what you will do. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think absolutely not. I mean, we are not responsible for what people do 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 miles away. No matter how holy you consider that book, it is still a book. So we are definitely not responsible for that, number one. And number two, we just simply cannot be intimidated. We must, in America, exercise our most precious gift that we have, and that is the First Amendment. So definitely we cannot allow people thousands of miles away or people right next to us, neighbors, who threaten us to take away our rights. We just cannot. We cannot allow that to happen. Otherwise, America will be no longer America. We will turn into Europe.
And you have the 3,000 Korans ready to go?
We have right now over 2,000. We are gathering the rest of them, but right now we have over 2,000, yes.
All right, Terry, we will talk to you again, sir, as we get closer. And then we'll talk to you again around 9/11, if that's okay with you. And thank you for sharing with us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Take care. That's Terry Jones. Look, I'll say this. There was a Saturday Night Live did a skit, a trailer for a Jesus movie. Jesus comes back, and he's mowing everybody down. He's shooting everybody down. If Christians rioted over that, would the president and the government say that NBC had blood on their hands, or would they blame the Christian rioters? I don't agree with Terry Jones. I wouldn't do it, but you know what? He has every right to do it. We'll talk about that on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-1530. That's 800-460-1530. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-1530.
This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
I love you, son, so it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother. I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the Total Transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
Where can you find this?
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. You need to watch out because thousands of new Obamacare rules are currently being implemented, and few know what the law says or does. Listen to what Senator Max Baucus, one of the authors of the Obamacare law, recently said.
I tell you, I just see a huge train wreck coming down, and I don't see any results yet. I just see a huge train wreck.
He's right. So protect yourself from this train wreck. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law. Join more than 500,000 Americans who have their copy. Get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere, or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Where can you find the Steve Malzberg Show? Everywhere. From your smartphone to satellite radio to Newsmax Live TV to Roku, we have you covered. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, Steve Malzberg Show. Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi. It's something that will not go away. And I got to tell you, if the next Republican presidential candidate is smart, even if things don't progress beyond this point much for the next couple of years, and Hillary Clinton is the nominee, the next presidential nominee will not let it go away if they're smart, if they have guts, if they get it. But a Republican presidential nominee who's smart and has guts and gets it, I don't think we've seen that in the recent past. Joining us now to talk about Benghazi and Hillary and more is Victoria Townsend, founding partner of the law firm DeGeneva and Townsend. We've spoken to Victoria before. How are you?
Hello, Steve. Well, I'm fine because I'm headed for my home in St. Michael's, Maryland.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you coming on with us. I really do. Now, first of all, your husband made some news last week on WMAL radio. I've been filling in on 9 to noon on WMAL all week. I'll be on again tomorrow. If you're home in Maryland, you could give a listen. But he talked about the fact that he believed he knew what Benghazi was all about, and it was about surface-to-air missiles that wound up in the wrong hands now because of everything went wrong, and that they were trying to transfer these weapons from Libya to the Syrian rebels. Now,
well, they were trying to transfer them, but the people don't report things very well. They don't understand when they hear plain English sometimes. He did not say that they were stolen that night. He said that they were weapons that had been in the wrong hands, and they got in the wrong hands. But it was not necessarily that night. In fact, one of the issues is whether the weapons were used against our people, so that they were in the wrong hands prior to the attack.
Oh, okay. All right.
The weapons were on their way to Syria via Turkey. That's been out there, but the mainstream media has ignored it. And if we start banging away, maybe they'll pick it up.
And I think Hillary was asked about that, something about Turkey, weapons going to Turkey, and she kind of said, Turkey?
Yeah.
and I felt at the time that maybe the senator who asked the question was onto something, but gave her an out because he didn't maybe say the final destination should have been Syria, and she was able to say or later be able to claim, well, I thought he meant that the final destination was Turkey. So I thought he hit on something right then and there, but never followed up and maybe was wrong. Talk about the cover-up that's going on. I know you did the other day, and you think this is all to protect Hillary.
Of course. That the ARB is an embarrassment. It is such a farce. I don't know if you have followed it as far as what kinds of false statements are in there. Have you all talked about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they didn't talk to Hillary and everything else, yeah.
Well, I mean, on one page they say that the embassy didn't ask for security. But not only did the ambassador at the time, Chris, ask for it, but the ambassador before him asked for it, and my client, Greg Hicks, asked for it when he was still in Washington because of certain things that he was aware of that were on the ground there. And all three were turned down, a deaf ear. And then this ARB that Pickering writes says that they didn't ask enough. But on the very next page, you know what it says? It says that security was lacking, and the four people were going to be in trouble because they didn't respond to repeated requests for increased security. I mean, you just can't believe it. I don't know if you have a copy, but you should look pages 4 and 5 of that ARB.
I will check. Go ahead.
And you should really pound away at it. They also, in the ARB, said that the Ambassador Stevens was in Benghazi because of reasons independent of Washington. Absolute false statement. And my client told Pickering that the reason the ambassador was there was at Hillary's request. They requested Hillary. She wanted it to be made a permanent outpost, and he had to get there before the end of the fiscal year, which was September 30th, and so he had to go in mid-September. And they've hidden that.
It is. I mean. So what does this say about the integrity of Pickering?
I don't care about the integrity.
Well, I'm just saying.
He was a hack. I mean, he was a hack.
I know. Well, everybody, in defense of the report, people say, "Oh, look who wrote it, and look at the." Well, I mean, obviously.
No. They don't even know. They were inept. They didn't even know how to do a report. Because they don't have record stenographers. They have note takers. They don't let. Now, talk about a cover up. They didn't let any of the people who were interviewed see what the notes were. I mean, somebody's taking notes. That's not a court stenographer. That's not verbatim. And then they didn't let any of the people interviewed see the draft report. They did not interview, as I understand it, the 4 people who were dismissed and have now been reinstated. Of course, they did not interview Hillary. And as I understand it, Patrick Kennedy was interviewed with a group, not individually.
We're talking to Victoria Townsend here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, so is Hillary going to get away with this? And if she is the nominee, will it come out? Let's talk about the Republican nominee first. I mean, do you agree with me?
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the Republican nominee because we've got 2 years. Guess what? The House leadership should get off their duff and be tough about this. And they're not.
Well, I had Frank Wolf on. He's calling. He's out. I hate to say he's a lone wolf, but he's out there.
A lone wolf.
And he's excuse me. He wants a special committee, select committee.
Yeah, and if they're going to do that, they've got to do it right. They've got to put the right members on it, because if you have some of those dunces who are right now committee chairmen who do not know how to ask a question and certainly don't know how to do a follow-up, it's not going to work. You've got to get on your really tough guys like your Jim Jordans, your Chaffetz, Trey Gowdy. You've got to get people who know how to ask questions, because a whole bunch of these chairmen don't. They've reached seniority in their chair, but they don't know. They have no idea what they're doing.
Well, what's the deal with Boehner? Why will not Boehner?
People should go after him.
I mean, I know the problems we have with him on immigration. I know the problems we have with him on health care. But what's the problem on Benghazi? Just have the committee and let the facts come out.
Well, he kept ISA from being able to subpoena for a long time. Here's the story. Pickering just wasn't available. Every time ISA would ask, he'd write a letter. Oh, could you please, pretty please, come up to be deposed? Pickering just couldn't find the time. Guess what?
No subpoena.
They finally slapped a subpoena on him, and he found the time
Yep.
within a week to 10 days. And these Republicans, first of all, they sound like whiners when they come on and say, well, we've written 3 letters and no one will say anything. Subpoena them. This is what it's supposed to be. They don't know how to play hardball. I'm so frustrated.
It is frustrating. It is frustrating. Now, as far as Hillary goes, how much culpability does she have? I mean, let's say obviously everything you said. Let's assume that it's true. Work on that premise that Hillary wanted the ambassador there and wanted to beat the fiscal year and wanted to set make the base there permanent and the embassy permanent and all that kind of stuff. And what gets me though, what's even worse than that is saying to the victims and there's a mother. There's one of the mothers of one of the dead Americans who goes on the TV shows every so often and that'll have her because she's basically ignored. And she says, this woman is lying to this woman. It looked me in the face and she said she'll call me. They'll let me know. They've done nothing. I've heard nothing and nobody cares. And the father of one of them who says that Hillary looked away from him, looked right by him, but whispered in his ear, we're going to get the guy who made that video. I mean, and this is where it is, and this is where it stays. And I just can't imagine that she is going to get away with this and run for president and possibly be elected with this over her.
Well, let's get the House Republican leadership to start pressuring them because they need to get this together. They need to put this out there that they're going to fight and they're going to be serious about it. And the White House knows. The White House knows that they're being chicken about it, and they're just playing on it. They're playing jujitsu with it. Letters come, well, we'll give you 3 documents. See, we gave 3 documents. I mean, they know how to play this game, and we don't know how to be tough.
You know what I often wonder, and I've wondered it out loud a couple of times recently, and I think back to Roberts even, and I'm wondering, his change on health care, and then, of course, comes the revelations of the NSA, and I'm thinking, does it get made clear or in a subtle way to some people that, hey, we know a guy named so-and-so. I mean, or a woman named so-and-so. I don't even know anymore because I can't. Roberts is one thing, but I don't know what the heck Boehner's thinking. I don't know what Cantor thinks. I don't know what McCarthy thinks. I don't know what any of them think or how they call themselves Republicans or the opposition party. I just don't get it.
Well, they have over 100 and some signatures for this special committee.
Yeah, about 140, 160. I forget what Wolf said. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was 50-50 on it because I know all the downside because Joe, my husband, law partner, and I did the Teamsters investigation in the 1990s when Newt called us up and told us we had $3 million to do an investigation, and it turned out we had $300,000, which we had to share with the Democrats. It's hard to find many staff that you can put on less than $300,000 payroll. And we didn't have an office, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a fax. We were for our first hearing, which was 6 weeks after we were appointed, we were interviewing witnesses in stairwells. So the Republicans have to be smart. If they're going to do it, they better get the facilities ready. They better be ready with the staff.
Absolutely. All right, Victoria, always a pleasure to talk to you. I hope you have a wonderful time at your vacation palatial estate. And think about inviting Barack Obama's family up there next year for vacation.
I think it's probably too down low for them.
All right, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Victoria Townsing, ladies and gentlemen, founding partner of the law firm DeGeneva and Townsing here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Look. This holds true. John Boehner is quite a problem. He's quite a problem. He's quite an impediment for the Republican Party, or should I say he's quite an impediment for those in the Republican Party who want to get things done, who want to push the envelope, who aren't afraid, who want to investigate, who don't look at how the media is going to treat them or what they're going to say about them. Again, look at the issues, issue after issue. He won't risk a government shutdown on health care. So what's the strategy? Well, we're going to let health care kick in and everybody will see how terrible it is. And then what? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And, of course, on immigration reform, well, we need this, we need that. Yeah, well, most Republicans out there now think immigration reform is dead because they think the House isn't going to touch the Senate bill. That's not necessarily true with Boehner. He's refused to say that. He's refused to talk about how he feels personally on the issue. And then, of course, Benghazi. No government shutdown threat. No nothing. No negative side to it, really. No negative risk to it, really. Keep the focus on Hillary. Keep the focus on your possible presidential opponent, by the way. Not because she's the possible presidential opponent, but because of what Benghazi was and the lies that have been told and the cover-up that's been underway. I mean, if the American public got the truth from what I've heard about what happened to the ambassador, Chris Stevens, the attack that he suffered, the physical assault that he suffered, it's unmentionable. But no, John Boehner rather just, nothing. No, win back the House in 2014. And then what? What good is having the House if you're just going to go along with the president? I really, I'm at a loss for words when it comes to Mr. Boehner. 855-777-9660. I'd love to hear from you. Should there be a select committee on Benghazi? Should Boehner, get a spine? Should he get a spine? You want to talk about what we talked about earlier in the hour? Should Terry Jones be burning Korans? And what about this double standard for the networks and the coverage when it comes to race and crime and black on white crime and white on black crime? All fair game, all there for you to talk about with moi on the Steve Malzberg Show, 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
We're in the midst of an obesity epidemic, and I'm not surprised. The statistics on obesity mirror an increasing trend of eating out or ordering in. In fact, some people dine out every night, but eating in restaurants is one of the biggest enemies of your heart. When you're in a restaurant, you don't really know what you're getting, and the calorie counts of many restaurant dishes are astronomical. In fact, some single dishes contain more calories than we should eat in an entire day. Eating in fast food restaurants is even worse. A diet of hamburgers, French fries, and shakes constitutes a fast lane to the emergency room. If you really want to help your heart, get in the habit of cooking simple meals at home. Here are 3 easy tips that will make your food taste better than even the best restaurant. Choose the best fruit in season. Your local farmer's market is a great place to start. It will probably still cost less than that pie you were thinking of buying. Get in the habit of using fresh herbs. You can use them in egg white omelets or dust them on the fish you grill or bake. And for a light dessert, choose a square or 2 of dark chocolate that you and your spouse can enjoy. There are lots of ways to make your heart healthy, but there are also lots of ways to damage it. That's why I wrote Fix It, Dr. Crandall's 90-day program. In it, I'll tell you how to kickstart your metabolism every day, how to pick the best diet for you, how to stop hunger from sabotaging your diet, the 7 superfoods for your heart. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thanks for watching this Heart Health Minute.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Heart disease is the biggest killer disease in America, and this doesn't surprise me. We are addicted to starches, sugars, fatty meats, and salt. People who live in countries with little heart disease eat very differently. One way some people stay heart healthy is by following what is known as the caveman or Stonehenge diet, so named because of its similarity to the way our prehistoric ancestors ate. People who follow this type of diet live off local fruits and root vegetables and get their protein mostly from fish and wild game they shoot themselves. Now, since most of us don't hunt or fish for all our protein, here are some simple tips on how you can start to eat like a caveman, modern day style. First, fill up on fruits and vegetables. Eat them first and you'll be less hungry. Feast on fish, which is rich in nutrients but not in calories. Choose fatty fish like mackerel, herring, sardines, and salmon, which are rich in heart-healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Get out and go for a walk. Remember, our ancestors were hunters and gatherers, so they didn't spend their time sitting in front of a TV or computer all day. If you live more like a caveman or a cave woman, your heart will love you for it. I'm Dr. Chauncey Crandall, and thank you for watching this Heart Health Minute. Remember, it's never too late to prevent or reverse heart disease. Right now, I invite you to discover your own risk for heart disease or even a heart attack by taking my quick, free online quiz at www.simplehearttest.com.
The Steve Malzberg Show is just a bit different from the other radio shows. We have TV cameras. Watch the show at Newsmax.com or listen on your favorite radio station. Here's Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, Steve Malzberg with you on this Thursday. Hard to believe it's Thursday already. Hard to believe we're getting closer to Labor Day. Labor Day coming very early, very oily. This year. First Monday is, it's like the 1st of September or something like that, 2nd. Okay, we're taking your calls at 855-777-9660, and we start off with Lynn, who's down in Florida. Hey, Lynn, you're on the Steve Malzberg Show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Delray Beach.
Delray Beach. You've called before?
I have never called
Oh, okay, because I've gotten several calls from Delray. You're obviously listening in the great WFTL, 850 Big Talk. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, you ask about John Boehner and why is he acting the way he's acting?
Yes.
I think there's a payoff, and I think it's either money or promises. There's another talk show host who told us that someone from George Soros's organization contacted him. He met with him, and what they said was, we have the media, we have education. The ship has sailed. There's nothing you can do about it. And then, the offer. So I think John Boehner and all the people who are going along with him, all the Republicans, and Karl Rove as well.
Well, what if it's not monetary? What kind of, for instance, what kind of offer would they make to John Boehner?
Well, we'll help fund your reelection.
So you think it's Soros making these calls, or someone
Oh,
from
no,
a representative from Soros, not like the president's representative. You mean it's more like a private person, like a Soros or a big liberal rich contributor, that kind of thing?
No, I don't know who it is. I think they're all the same.
All right, Lynn. That would really all surprise me, to be honest with you.
So
but
that would explain everything, because there's nothing else that would explain the behavior.
It is bizarre. It is very bizarre behavior, and it's very disappointing. And I thank you for the call, and thanks for listening. Tell your friends. You know, my uncle, may he rest in peace, used to live in Delray. I used to visit all the time. We used to go down the beach, straight down Atlantic, I think. And I also used to cover the Yankees when they were in Fort Lauderdale. I'd stay at my uncle's home base and drive to Fort Lauderdale every day, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time of my life. So I miss Delray Beach. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, very, very nice area down in Delray, as you might expect. I don't know that that's it. I respect Lynn's view and opinion, and that answer makes as much sense as anything else. You know, but it just is. It defies logic. It defies logic. The Tea Party movement was galvanized, energized around defeating Obamacare, doing away with Obamacare, making sure, and now we're on the doorstep. Excuse me, I got a hair in my eye. We're on the doorstep of this thing taking effect, and every single day, folks. I mean, you think I finished with health care? Because I read your story earlier, I think the previous hour, about how cancer patients, according to a physician writing for Forbes, are going to suffer greatly under Obamacare. How about all the businesses that are now cutting health care coverage for spouses who work? So in other words, it's usually cheaper if you have a family plan, as opposed to each member of the family having a plan, right? Even in a husband-wife situation. Well, now tons of businesses and companies are cutting out the spousal coverage if the spouse has an option to have a plan where he or she works. I mean, that's just one example. How about businesses all over the country cutting hours to part-time so that they won't be required under Obamacare to provide the health insurance for all their employees? It is a disaster. I'm not even talking about the medical care you'll receive. Seeing nurse practitioners instead of doctors, not being able to see specialists, having a panel decide, what care you'll get based on a formula, which takes into account your age and your productivity to society, quote unquote, after you would have this procedure that you need. And based on that score, they'll decide whether or not you get the procedure. I mean, you can't, it's a nightmare. And here's Boehner and the Republicans who could say, we're not going to let it happen. And they say, oh, no, we can't do that. Crazy. All right, we're coming back, folks, with more of your favorite show in the whole wide world. We like to call it, The Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming. The shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Malzberg. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Malzberg's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-532-2967. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-532-2967. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-532-2967.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman. The U.S. and other Western nations are now demanding UN inspectors be allowed to visit the site of an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria. Opposition leaders claim the Syrian government used toxic gas on its own citizens. There are now varying accounts of how many people died in the attack, ranging from more than 100 all the way up to nearly 1,000. The Syrian government has strongly denied these claims. In New York, the UN Security Council held an emergency meeting last night. The council says it wants answers as to how so many people were killed.
This represents, no matter what the conclusions are, a serious escalation with grave humanitarian consequences and human consequences.
Meanwhile, President Obama is focusing on domestic issues like college affordability and his middle-class economic plan as he kicked off a two-day bus tour through New York and Pennsylvania today. And in Egypt, former President Hosni Mubarak was released from prison today. He was deposed in 2011 during the rise of the Arab Spring. Mubarak was transferred to a Cairo hospital and is expected to stay under house arrest. And the National Security Agency has picked up more American emails than previously disclosed. The NSA declassified 3 court rulings, which showed the spy agency read as many as 56,000 emails from Americans not connected to foreign terrorists. The NSA says it inadvertently gathered that internet traffic. The FISA court ruled it unconstitutional and ordered the agency to find ways to limit what it collects and how long it keeps that information. And a school employee is being called a hero for helping to talk an armed gunman into surrendering outside of Atlanta. During a standoff with police, which forced the evacuation of 800 students, Michael Hill, who was armed with an AK-47, held bookkeeper Antoinette Tuff hostage. Tuff had already called police and stayed on the line with 911 dispatchers as Hill entered the front office. Listen here as the bookkeeper convinced the armed gunman to put down his weapon and turn himself in.
Well, don't feel bad, baby. My husband just left me after 33 years. I mean, I'm sitting here with you and talking to you about it. I got a son that's multiple disabled. It's going to be all right, sweet. I just want you to know that I love you, though, okay? And I'm proud of you. That's a good thing that you've just given up, and don't worry about it. We all go through something in life.
Pretty amazing stuff there. The gunman's brother said he is bipolar and schizophrenic. Michael Hill is still being held by police. And coming up next on your Newsmax Now update, we've been telling you about those raging wildfires out west. Now a new fire is threatening homes and buildings near one of our nation's most majestic national parks. An update on the Rim Fire. Plus, a Newsmax exclusive with Congressman Steve Stockman. What should the White House do to respond to those allegations by Syrian rebels that government forces are using chemical weapons? That's next.
You've heard the allegations on the news, and during the big game, pro football players have been using deer antler velvet to get a competitive edge. Banned at the London Games for its performance-enhancing qualities. Forbidden in major sports leagues for being an unfair advantage to athletes. Deer antler velvet is now in stock and available to try for free for a limited time only. Athletes have been using it for years for increased strength, increased endurance, muscle mass stress reduction, and yes, greatly enhanced libido. Everyone's talking about this miracle substance so powerful, it's being banned by professionals
professional sports organizations, but for a limited time, it's being made available to the general public. Best of all, you can try it for free by calling 800-678-5153. That's right, get Superior Velvet for free. If you're looking to boost your performance on the field and between the sheets, get the most powerful, proven product used by athletes for years now for free. Claim your free bottle today by calling 800-678-5153. That's 800-678-5153. Again, 800-678-5153.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at Aftershock911.com. Aftershock911.com.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Welcome back. More than 19,000 firefighters are battling flames in 10 western states this morning. One of the out-of-control wildfires in California, the Rim Fire, threatens thousands of buildings. It's also blocking a major road into Yosemite National Park. The firefighters battling the Rim Fire must do so from the perimeter now because the situation is so dangerous. So far, there have been 2 homes destroyed. Many cabins and campgrounds have also been evacuated. And with the president trying to focus on domestic issues, we talk with Congressman Steve Stockman of Texas, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, about Syria and what the White House should do in response to allegations of chemical weapon use by the Assad regime.
I think we should probably eliminate some of their planes, keep them from use in weapons of mass destruction.
And to see more of our exclusive interviews and content, stay with Newsmax.com. This has been your Newsmax Now update for August 22nd. I'm John Bachman. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you as I welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show how thrilled I am to introduce my next guest. We used to talk quite often, and we haven't talked in many, many years. She is a wonderful, wonderful, smart, brilliant writer and lady and mother, and she's always told it like it is, and she's taught me so much through her books and our conversations, books like Freedom Feminism, Who Stole Feminism, The War on Boys, War Against Boys, I should say. And now she's back with a new and revised edition of The War Against Boys, How Misguided Policies Are Harming Our Young Men. And we welcome in Christina Hoff-Sommers, who's also a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. Hey, Christine, how are you?
Fine. Nice to talk to you again.
It has been so long. I mean, we go back to ABC. I think we might have spoken at OR, but I mean, the things I learned from you from Who Stole Feminism. I remember talking to you about the fallacy of the March of Dimes study that showed more birth defects are caused by men, kicking their pregnant wives or girlfriends, and that was published. And then the March of Dimes said we never did that study. Or the Super Bowl warning on Super Bowls, more men beat their wives on Super Bowl Sunday, and Bob Costas on NBC even read it on a Super Bowl Sunday. Behave yourself, men, and turned out that was false. And I mean, you just wrote so many great things that opened up so many eyes. And I now have a 13-year-old son, which is something I did not have the last time we spoke. So the war against boys, to me, is more meaningful than ever before. And you point out in this book, as you did in the first one, but it's brilliantly updated and revised, about how boys have now fallen behind girls in every way possible when it comes to social, academics, workplace, you name it. girls have now surpassed boys, but yet, the media presents it, the feminists present it, and it's accepted almost as poor girls, boys are still in charge.
That's right. And unfortunately, schools of education teach this to teachers. And so a little boy goes into a classroom, and he is there under a cloud of disapproval, and there's no effort to teach in the schools of ed to teach the beginning teachers that boys are different from girls, that they have to give a little more leeway to their rambunctious play, to their imaginative fantasy play. So it's all very unfortunate.
All right, so talk about some of the specifics. Talk about, I go back with you to when this book first came out, to all the, the literature and the reports and the studies, and again, probably from feminist groups, and probably much of it not true, that boys raise their hands more than girls. Girls are less likely to raise their hands. Girls aren't getting called on. They're getting passed by in the education system.
Oh, that was a myth. The typical little boy is sitting in the back and not paying attention. I mean, it was this idea that girls are silenced and shortchanged victims of the schools. There was some truth that girls were not doing as well in math and science, and that was the one good thing that came out of the Shortchanged Girl campaign. And there was a massive effort to strengthen them in those areas. However, boys are massively behind in reading and writing. They're far less likely to go to college. Just about every bad thing that can happen to a kid in school is more likely to happen to a boy: be expelled, fail a class, drop out, be suspended. And where are the programs for boys? If you go to the Department of Education, you will not find mention of the boy gap.
And right, and that boy gap, I mean, let's talk about it. Girls outperform boys by 1 to 2 grade levels in reading and writing, as you alluded to. Girls are the majority of college applicants and attendees. Girls outnumber boys in master's programs and PhD programs. I mean, just these facts alone should be of great concern to parents of boys and young men.
In California, there was a study, not by anybody in the official in education, but by a commission of business owners and political leaders, because they were wondering what was happening to young men in the UC system, in the California university system. And the statistics are unbelievable. If you look at their professional schools, these are schools that once had a majority of males. Schools like the law school or the school of optometry, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, you're seeing figures 70, 75, 78% women. And yet no one is, I mean, you just don't find a discussion of that in California. And if you compare that to the outcry over shortchanged girls, which was based on a lot of misinformation, and here we have just very, very solid data to show that boys are behind. And, it's not only that they're behind. If we look at what's going on in the classroom, the classrooms are increasingly very comfortable places for typical girls. For boys, the classrooms are increasingly feeling-centered, sedentary, competition-free, risk-averse. And if your classes become that way, if your school is risk-averse and competition-free and sedentary, it is not hospitable to boys.
We're talking to Christina Hoff Sommers, and she is the author of The War Against Boys, the new and revised edition, How Misguided Policies Are Harming Young Men. And let's talk about, and this is something that goes way back, but of course it's now worse than ever. And we're talking about letting boys be boys. We've seen, as you point out in your book, the banning of activities on schools. For elementary schools, dodgeball is not allowed. We've seen suspensions from boys if they. One kid bit a Pop-Tart, in the how he did it, I don't know how accurate could it have been, to look like a gun. Right. And they suspended him for that. God forbid if a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old puts his finger in his thumb in his forefinger and says bang, they get suspended. Aggressiveness, competition, like you said. But what boys do, what I did as a boy, none of that is tolerated anymore. It's frowned upon, and they're taught not to behave that way.
And here's what's sad is that I was able to find some very good researchers who are beginning to question they're documenting the policing and monitoring of young men, these efforts to re-engineer their imaginations. You have little boys in classrooms who engage, preschool, kindergarten, first grade. They engage in a lot of superhero play. And they not only want to play that way, but if they're going to tell stories, they want to tell stories about it. Teachers discourage that. Some prohibit it. And these researchers have found that this actually may have adverse effects on a little boy's literacy and writing ability, because if you shame them, that early time where they're just beginning to tell stories and beginning to write and imagine, and you do that to them, they are worried that this could be very harmful to not only to their personal development, because that kind of play is important for a little boy's social development and self-control and building friendships, but they may even be harming his verbal skills.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And they do this because it's policy, and the policy is in place because why? Because superheroes are aggressive and violent? I don't know. Is that it?
Complex. It was an unfortunate convergence of ideologies and agendas. Yes, a lot of women's groups thought that boys were proto-harassers. In the new edition, I quote a study by the Ms. Foundation where they suggest that violence is at the very core of masculinity in our culture. They implicate, all men in some kind of social crime, which is bigoted, I would say.
Weren't they prominent in one of the aforementioned at the top when I mentioned some of those studies? Wasn't the Ms. Foundation guilty of one of those?
Yes, they were the people behind Take Your Daughter's
Yes,
Work
okay,
Day,
Take Your Daughter to
and
Work
they
Day.
came up with, there was a lot of pressure to provide something for boys from parents and some employers, and so they came up with something called Son's Day. So girls were supposed to go to school, go to work with their parents and have a fun day with mom or dad, and boys were supposed to celebrate Son's Day. And what were the activities that the Ms. Foundation suggested? Take your son to a domestic violence shelter.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. Well, in the end, they canceled it,
man.
but they sent their plans out to people they thought were supporters, and one of them sent it to me. So I describe it in my book.
Oh boy!
And then they also boys should stay at home. They should make dinner and do the dishes and make lunches for siblings. A friend of mine called it a holiday in hell for junior.
All right, let me. How about these laws, or especially in California? I'm not even talking about the transgender thing, but these laws that are floating around in the Assembly and the Senate there in the State House to ban the use of the term boy and girl or mom and dad and everything. Do you think that that's the main goal? Do you think that these left-leaning groups like, the feminist groups and the pro-gay groups, that they're all in cahoots and through the education system, this is their goal to just blur completely, boy and girl, and just say that there's no difference, and they're kids, they're not a boy, they're not a girl? I mean, is that the ultimate goal here, or what is their goal? These groups that put forth these kinds of programs and discriminatory practices.
Well, as I said, there are many agendas. On the one hand, you have the hardline feminists who view masculinity as toxic, and they've given up on changing men, but they think little boys can be rescued from this pathology, being a boy. And so they have all sorts of ideas about how to do it. They believe that gender is a social construction, that it is not biology at all. It's simply society and parental influences, and they want to undo it. And I think they believe that we're all innately androgynous, and that they can liberate your inner androgyny. I don't know. It's so absurd, and it's an illusion. That there's no such thing as masculinity and femininity. Of course there is. I mean, there are exceptions, but that doesn't prove that these don't exist, and that they're. I mean, it's probably a complicated combination of biology and culture. But to deny the biology and to deny that little boys, on average, are different from girls, it defies. It's inconceivable that seemingly intelligent people can believe this. Yet it is taught in schools of education. Taught in most gender studies programs, that there's no such thing. It's all an invention.
All right. So where are we headed from here? The young. I mean, I'm thankful my son is 13 years old. because then it's only going to get worse, I got a feeling, unless you could give me some encouraging news that help is on the way and that this nonsense is going to stop. But I fear that it's been getting worse all these years. And look, let me make it clear, and I know you feel the same way, obviously. We have nothing against girls succeeding and doing well, but at the expense of boys and feminizing boys is certainly not helpful in the matter.
Exactly. How is this going to help girls? Here's the situation of girls now. We are looking at a gap in college education that's approaching a chasm, and there are many colleges where a young woman will go there and find that there's only about 30 to 35% of the students are males. So the idea of having a date in college is out of the question. Now, the other thing is people tend to want to marry. It's called assortative mating and assortative marrying. You tend to want to marry someone of roughly the same education as yourself and same intelligence. There's a tendency to pair off in that way. Well, where are you the young women today if they're going to be so much more educated than young men? They are going to have a very hard time forming families. Now, we saw this years ago in the African-American community where the women were better educated. It is now moved, certainly in the Latino community, now the white working class, and with the middle class. So it is a dysfunctional arrangement.
Right, because women now think they don't need a man.
Well, most women would tell you they do.
Well, I hope so, but I'm just saying, family, to have a son or to have a kid. Listen, Christina, and we don't have time to get into this, but how many TV shows do I watch where the head of the household, if there is a household head, and if it is a male, even in the shows going back to Everyone Loves Raymond and all that, he's a jerk, he's stupid, he's an idiot, and he's berated constantly. Listen, I'll call you again. We'll talk again. I hope you'll come on. And of course, the book, The War Against Boys: How Misguided Policies Are Harming Our Young Men, by the great Christina Hoff Sommers. Anyone in the newsroom will tell you that for 2 weeks I've been saying, I can't wait to talk to her again. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Christina.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Really, this is must reading. You have a son? You have a grandson? Get this book. I am telling you. We're coming back. 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Do you have a motorized wheelchair or scooter that needs repairs and you don't know where to turn? Then call the experts at Precision Repair Network. They are the specialists in repairing all makes and models of motorized wheelchairs and scooters. You can call 24/7 and they will come to you anywhere in the United States. They'll give you a loaner to use until they return yours in perfect condition. And your repairs may be covered by your Medicare or your private insurance, so there is little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. If your wheelchair or scooter needs repairs, call this special hotline now and learn how you can get door-to-door service on your repairs at little or no cost to you. Precision Repair Network. They'll get you moving again. Operators are ready to take your call right now. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. 800-978-4813. That's 800-978-4813.
Sure, Steve might be a bit of a hypochondriac, but he never gets sick of breaking news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show. Call Steve at 1-855-777-9660. That's 1-855-777-9660. Here's Steve.
All right, folks. Great lady, Christina Huff Summers. In case I didn't make that clear during the interview, you know, a little inside baseball here. It's funny, the generation gap. You know, we have the best crew in the world working here, but there's a little bit of an age difference, and even though it's a kind of a generational difference. So John Bachman, who those of you watching at Newsmax TV, you see him at the top of every hour. He does the fine news update on Newsmax TV, and so I said, "Hey, where's Turner and Overdrive?" And they look at me like, "What?" I said, "All right, you guys never heard of Bachman Turner Overdrive?" And no. So I go into the newsroom and I say to Matt and Chad, I said, they never heard of Bachman Turner Overdrive. They said, what? So, so they came up with, they Googled it naturally and came up with a song, a live version of You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Baby. And they're laughing at the hairstyles and the whole shebang. Yeah, I know. Big afros there. Do you ever see Oscar Gamble play for the Yankees? Google Oscar Gamble. He had like a huge afro, and he played for the Yankees. I don't know how he got the helmet on sometimes, but I'm just thinking out loud about the '70s and hairstyles, and yeah, that's what they, And if you go back to the '60s, and I was only I was 8, 6, 7, 8, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't a teenager in the '60s. But, look at those. Look at Woodstock. Look how they dress. Look at the psychedelic, clothing and everything. I wore bell-bottoms in the '70s growing up. I wore weird clothes, man, growing up. My parents sent me to school with weird clothes. I got to tell you that, and I got the pictures to prove it. But Bachman Turner Overdrive, BTO. All right. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about Bradley Manning. Yes, I said Bradley Manning. Sorry, Chelsea. I'm still calling you Bradley until you have some kind of change. Anyway, we'll talk about Bradley Manning, and then we're going to play for you an interview we tried to play for you the other day. It was pre-taped. We couldn't do it for technical difficulties about football and the attack on football. But this is the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month, and this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Credit card companies lure you in with low introductory rates or low minimum payments, and before you know it, you owe thousands of dollars in credit card debt. It has happened to millions of good people just like you. But here's the good news. Thanks to a powerful program now approved, anyone with $2,000 or more in credit card debt can cut their credit card payments up to half and even reduce or eliminate interest charges altogether. That's right. Our nationwide nonprofit program is helping U.S. residents cut their credit card payments. Call 800-613-3159 now. The call and information are free. We've helped over 500,000 people with their credit card debt, and now we can help you. Call 800-613-3159 to see how this powerful nonprofit program can work for you. Bad credit card debt happens to good people. Get free of credit card debt today. Call 800-613-3159. That's 800-613-3159. Again, 800-613-3159.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And I'm just wondering about the human thing here. You know, people who are not in the military or in espionage are always amazed, I think, at the classic role of justice where spies are executed, even though they're the most courageous warriors in many ways. These sort of rules of warfare are so harsh. Here you have this guy, this frail guy, who doesn't look threatening to anyone, who may be naive beyond belief, who couldn't possibly have realized what he was walking into, is now going to spend the rest of his life, practically, in Fort Leavenworth, surrounded by people who won't like him? That's my question. This punishment is really something.
Wow. Chris Matthews weighing in yesterday after the judge sentenced Bradley Manning to 35 years in prison. I guess Chris didn't understand that 35 years would equal 8, eligible to get out in 8. And, of course, he's going to appeal it, so it might get even watered down even more. And he wrote a letter asking Barack Obama to pardon him. But he's playing the gender card, ladies and gentlemen. He's playing. I predicted this would be the case yesterday. I hinted at it yesterday. And it didn't take long. It did not take long. Bradley Manning's attorney went on the Today Show this morning and give a listen to Savannah Guthrie, cut number 35.
Let's talk about Mr. Manning personally, and he has provided a statement that he wants us to read, and this is part of it. As I transition into this next phase of my life, I want everyone to know the real me. I am Chelsea Manning. I am a female. Given the way that I feel and have felt since childhood, I want to begin hormone therapy as soon as possible. I also request that starting today, you refer to me by my new name and use the feminine pronoun.
Okay. I told you that really didn't take long, did it? The defense, I told you, for on appeal or to get the sentence lessened or to get out on parole, I said what it was going to be. The defense, I'm surprised the defense at the trial really wasn't, hey, he was a woman trapped in a man's body. He couldn't talk about it with anybody in the military because of the bigoted, homophobic, don't ask, don't tell, which Bill Clinton signed into law. And as a result, he had to lash out somehow at the military, and subconsciously, he chose to turn to espionage. Can't blame him, right? Brilliant, brilliant defense, if I may say so myself. Now, here's more. Actually, let's go to cut 37. They want Fort Leavenworth, where he'll be imprisoned, to give him hormone therapy. Here's cut 37.
She wants hormone therapy. Fort Leavenworth does not provide that. Are you going to sue to try to force the government to give her hormone therapy and perhaps a sex reassignment surgery?
Well, I don't know about the sex reassignment surgery. That Chelsea hasn't indicated that would be her desire. But as far as the hormone therapy, yes. I'm hoping Fort Leavenworth would do the right thing and provide that. If Fort Leavenworth does not, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they are forced to do so.
The utter gall, okay? He hopes that Fort Leavenworth does the right thing and provides hormone therapy to the man just convicted of espionage and other charges and sentenced to 35 years in prison. And if they don't do it voluntarily, he will do everything in his power to force them? Wow. You talk about chutzpah. You talk about chutzpah. Let's go to cut number 38.
Is the ultimate goal here for him, to be in a female population, a female prison?
No, I think the ultimate goal is to be comfortable in her skin and to be the person that she's never had an opportunity to be.
And you and I are going to pay for that if he has his way. The attorney for Bradley Manning. The attorney would have you and I pay. You and I pay for a spy just convicted of the Espionage Act, just sentenced for espionage. You and I are expected to pay for his hormone therapy. What world are we living in? And finally, cut 39.
Do you have any fear for her being in a general male population, number one, for the crimes for which she's been convicted, and also saying, I want to live as a female? Do you fear for her safety?
I don't, and the reason why is everyone that's in a military prison is a first-time offender. These are soldiers who have done something wrong, have gone to prison, and are really just trying to do their time and then get out.
All right, folks. Please. All right. Are you ready for some football? I'm going to be dressed differently. It's an interview we did a few days ago. You're going to love it on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores, or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
I love you, son, so it hurts when you say I hate you. I'm your mother. I'm tired of you disrespecting me when you don't get your way. I work hard to make sure you have everything you need. I should be able to ask you to get out of bed in the morning without a fight. So from now on, things are going to be different. I ordered the Total Transformation Program. We're not going to scream and fight anymore. I'm going to tell you what to do in a different way, and you're going to do it. You're not going to call me ugly names anymore, and if you do, you're going to get consequences that'll keep you from calling me ugly names. We're not going to do things your way anymore, son. We're going to do things the Total Transformation way.
Get the Total Transformation free. Just order the program, tell us how it works for you, and you can keep it for free. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520. Call now. Call 1-888-577-9520. 1-888-577-9520.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream. Streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, a lot of NFL fans, football fans. I know my 13-year-old son, they're all getting ready for their fantasy drafts. And one thing that my son, who plays, he's played basketball, plays travel baseball, plays street hockey in the league where they won their town championship, by the way, last year. He's always wanted to try out for football. And he's tall and he's skinny, and I said, it's just not happening. Now, I love the game of football. I love watching the game of football. When I was a kid, I never played tackle, but played, two-hand touch in the streets of Brooklyn. But I just won't let him put on the pads and play organized football. Does that mean I think football's bad or should be banned or anything like that? No. I believe that, adults especially who willingly partake of the game, just like boxers, just like when Sugar Ray Leonard had a detached retina and he wanted to box and various cities wouldn't give him a license because he could go blind. Well, he wanted to risk that. He wanted to make the money. They know the risks going in. I think if someone wants to play football, they should be able to play football. Kids are a different story. Joining us now to talk about all of this and more is the author of The War on Football, Saving America's Game. We welcome in Daniel J. Flynn. Hey, Daniel, how are you, sir?
Outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. Okay, so you're up in the Massachusetts area. By the way, you write regularly. Want to point out to the folks for the American Spectator, and you also you blog at flynnfiles.com. You must be a Patriots fan, no?
I am a Patriots fan, so I've had some heartbreaking moments where you've probably enjoyed those moments.
A couple of Super Bowls come to mind, perhaps?
Yeah,
that's what I thought. All right, but let's talk about this. And first, in general terms, and to the gist of what you're talking about, absolutely. I think it started before that, but the death of Junior Seau and then the examination of his brain and all these subsequent examinations of various, not a whole lot, but a handful of football players. We found that they had a degenerative brain disease after they died, and they were football players. And so the cry went out, ban football, football's evil, football's bad. And, of course, the lawsuits from not current players, but recent players, retired players and families, some who are claiming that the league knew about these things, didn't have proper doctors there to see about concussions, and they want billions and billions of dollars. So there is an attack on football.
Yeah, I think the irony with the lawsuit is that the players are hurting every league that they're not suing, and they're not going to harm the league that they are suing. In the NFL, their revenues approach $10 billion this season. If they have to pay out $1 billion in damages to the players, they'll still be in NFL. The lawsuit doesn't damage a league that has to sell parking spaces. They get to sell parking spaces for $50. They're going to damage the leagues that sell candy bars to survive. And so, what I found in writing The War on Football is, in talking to coaches around the country, is that they're having difficulty to even field a scrub squad at the Pop Warner level to shine up their starters. Last year, youth football, the numbers were down by 6%, and a lot of this has to do with the hysteria surrounding CTE, concussions, the lawsuit, and a lot of what the public thinks that they know, as I show in the book, just isn't true.
Okay, well, and then you brought up Pop Warner football, and let me shift over to there for a second before we get back to the statistics that you point out throughout your book about how professional football is safer than ever. We have just this year alone, or this season alone, in these few months, I think 4 football deaths of youngsters. We just had one in Georgia at Creekville High School, a junior, 16 years old, Dontre Turman. He collapsed after injury suffered during a game. Cullen Finnerty, I believe he was 14 in Michigan. Same thing. So and I think in the case of Finnerty, I think they found some kind of a heart thing that had gone unnoticed. So that's always a problem. That's a problem in any sport where if you don't get your kids an EKG or an echo, there's always a chance that they're going to have some kind of unnoticed heart deficiency that will be triggered during physical exertion. Yeah, I think the focus on football safety has been on collision deaths. And so this used to be a huge deal with football. In 1968, at the peak of all the violence and brutality in football, there were 36 collision deaths during that season. Last year, there were 2 collision deaths. So I don't think there's any argument that football has gotten dramatically safer over the last few decades. It used to be, on average, about 25 players would die every year during the 1960s. It's now less than 4. And in fact, last year, there were more kids who died by getting struck by lightning on football fields than died by getting struck by other players. So I think obviously what happened in Georgia this past weekend is tragic. But every human activity carries a degree of risk. There was a boy in Indianapolis last month who got hit by a baseball and died. Just last week, there was a hockey player up in Canada, a prospect for the pros, who collapsed and died on the ice. So everything we do carries risk. And a lot of the things that parents allow their kids to do without even thinking about it are a lot more dangerous than football. Take something like skateboarding. Last year, there were 30 deaths from skateboarding. There was only 2 deaths from football, and yet I don't think there's a hue and cry out there to ban skateboarding or to ban swimming or skiing or mountain climbing or any of these activities that are a lot more dangerous than football. We think of football being dangerous because those collisions happen right before our eyes, but it's in fact a lot safer than all sorts of activities that we allow our kids to participate in without even thinking about. We're talking to Daniel Flynn, the author of The War on Football, Saving America's Game, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. But let me play devil's advocate a little bit here. And again, when it comes to adults, when it comes to college, anybody over 18, they want to play football, they want to run the risk. I mean, that's their problem. Should the league have precautions in place? Should they have the proper doctors? If they think the guy has a concussion, should they take him out? I mean, we all saw North Dallas 40, and I had Peter Gent up in the studio with me at the time. Too bad I didn't have Nick Nolte, but that stuff did happen. But they've come a long way, and if you could prove that a team or a league was purposely negligent and risked players' lives or safety or brain health, then go sue. But having said that, you can't get to that level. You can't get to college level, and you can't get to the pros for the most part, maybe even ever, unless you start, playing high school football as a kid, pre-high school. So why won't I let my kid go play football? I don't think he's going to get killed. I just think he's going to get, hurt. He's going to get beat up. He's going to get really bruised and really ripped apart and really, maybe break an arm or something because he's a tall, skinny kid, and I just don't want to put him there. Is that make sense as a father? Yeah, I think every parent's going to make their own decision about their own kid. They know their own kid, and football is not for everybody. I don't make the argument in my book that football's not a rough game. It's certainly more rough and dangerous than baseball or basketball or a lot of other games that kids play. But I don't object to parents sort of having their say. But what I do object to is that there are a lot of folks who are saying, well, let's ban football for kids. Let's ban it for people under 18. The fact of the matter is that almost every single person who plays tackle football in America is under the age of 18. There's about 1 out of every 50 football players can legally buy alcohol. And so the league that's most watched, sure, the NFL, they have all adults. But the league that most people play in,
Those are youth leagues in high school. And what's disturbing to me is not only has there been a drop-off in participation with the youth leagues, but in high school, for the first time in almost 20 years, there's been a drop-off in participation in high school football. And that, football is still the most played sport in high school, but the numbers are dropping. And I think this is a time in America, when deaths do happen on the football field now, usually it has to do with heat stroke, with sickle cell anemia, with enlarged hearts. And the common denominator with a lot of this stuff is obesity. Football can be the cure for that. And yet when we see kids who die in the field now, it usually has to do with, you look and there'll be, a 360-pound high school senior,
right,
a 300-pound 13-year-old boy. And you just kind of get the feeling that, this isn't football that killed them. It's our fat society.
All right, but it's also, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but it could also be that maybe special considerations need to be given to that 300-pound kid on the field. Maybe he needs more water. Maybe he needs more rest time. Maybe he needs to take, to do shorter workouts. I mean, this goes back to making sure the proper people are coaching and are out there. But it's not only, I don't think, the people who are shying away from football or having their kids shy away are just only afraid of death. Like I said, it's injury. Now, I saw statistics not too long ago that there are more concussions in soccer, girls soccer, if I'm not mistaken, than in high school football or pee-wee football or something like that. But again, the object of soccer, even though there's physical contact and people get kicked in the head inadvertently, is not to tackle somebody and push somebody and and go up against someone one-on-one and block someone and knock them down, or in baseball or in hockey for that matter. On a youth level, the physical contact is usually not permitted as much, at least not aggressiveness. So the purpose, the idea of football is go get them, go hit them, go knock them, and I think parents are afraid their kids are just going to get hurt, seriously or otherwise, as opposed to dead, and that's what's driving them away.
Well, that's true, and certainly the intent of football is to tackle the guy and to have a physical confrontation. But I don't really know that the intent matters at all here. What matters is outcomes. And, I know the intent of riding a skateboard isn't to roll down a hill at 40 miles an hour and bash your head off a car, but that often happens. And a street is a lot more unforgiving than a linebacker. And so all these activities like bicycling and skateboarding and swimming that are exponentially times more dangerous than football, we don't give a thought about that, but we just seem to be preoccupied with any kind of physical violence. I don't think football has grown especially hard. I think the evidence shows just the opposite, and I prove that in the book. Society's gotten soft.
Yeah,
We are less tolerant of the pastimes, the rough pastimes of boys. We have boys sitting in front of screens playing video games. We give them Ritalin because they jump around in classrooms for lack of enough exercise. We have grown away from understanding the needs of kids. And for a lot of kids,
Daniel,
football is the cure-all.
I could not agree with you more. As a matter of fact, you must be familiar with Christina Hoff Sommers. She just did a revised edition, updated of her great book from years ago, The War on Boys. We're having her on Thursday on this show. She is fantastic, and you're right. Not only that, I mean, no more dodgeball, no more kickball. Kids can't say bang bang. I mean, yeah, and they're not allowed to be boys. They're feminizing boys. I couldn't agree more. That's what makes your book so relevant and so fascinating. And folks, if you're considering having your kids play football, or you're considering playing football, or you just love the game of football, check out The War on Football, Saving America's Game by Daniel Flynn. Out today, correct?
That's right. It's out everywhere today.
All right. Daniel, thank you, and good luck. We'll speak again, I'm sure.
Hey, appreciate it, Steve.
Take care. All right, folks. Very interesting. I just wouldn't let Rob play football. To this day, he asks me. I said, nope, you're just not doing it. Brings home the sheet. Dad, tryouts. I said, nope. That's one you're not doing. You played ice hockey. You do street hockey, you do basketball, you did basketball, you do baseball. You're just not putting on helmet and shoulder pads and going out there and getting hit. Sorry. And that's how I feel. Do I love football? Do we watch football together? Do we throw the football around? Absolutely. But he's not playing organized, tackle football. I won't let him. And I bet he won't let his kid either. All right, folks, it has been a very interesting day. Lots going on. There'll be lots going on tomorrow. Can't wait to reconvene when we do, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV.